Data Voyagers.
Hello, Data Voyagers. Welcome to another episode of the Data Voyagers podcast, where we navigate the story behind the numbers. And today we're going to talk about the most overlooked, but yet most critical factors in the success or failure of analytics initiatives, which is adoption. Organizations all over the world spend millions deploying advanced analytics platforms, convinced that if they just bring in the right technology, transformation will naturally flow. But reality tells us something very different. The best dashboards built on the most powerful tools often end up sitting untouched. Expensive, and I like this expression, shelfware. So we have hardware, we have software, and shelfware is that software that basically it's in a shelf nobody uses. It's something pretty that you spend a lot of money on it. And why? Because of adoption and not access, not license, not numbers of dashboard delivers. That is the true leading indicator of success is adoption. If you create the best, most amazing dashboard in the history of the dashboards and nobody uses, it's useless. And here is the uncomfortable truth. It's not the platform, it's not the data, it's not even the visualization. Of course, they all help, but the reason analytics efforts fail is people simply don't use what's being built. Welcome to the Data Voyages podcast, navigating the story behind the numbers. I am Igor Alcantara. Oi, pessoal. And I'm here with my friend, fellow Click ambassador, and co host of these podcasts, Angelika Klidas. Hi, Angelika. Thanks for being here. Thanks for adopting this episode. That was a terrible joke.
No. It's not a terrible joke because what I see happening as well is that our podcast is being adopted as well. So, hi everybody. Hoi allemaal. Fijn dat jullie er zijn. So the adoption of our podcast is also going rapidly. We are sharing it. We are growing. So yeah, I'm truly happy to do this together with you. And we are at number 15, talking about adoption.
Exactly. So number 15, which is great. And I'll like the opportunity to also thank for all of our listeners who help by sharing the episodes, by sending to other people and convincing people to listen to our podcast. And also a very special thanks to the our great friends at Click, because Click is also helping to promote
Yep.
our episode. So that's really, really great, guys. So Sally Jacobs, Sarah Uris, all those
Janine, Janine
Janine, all of
Boat,
those folks.
all of those guys
Yeah,
and
I mean,
girls. Uh,
there's hundreds of people we can mention that are helping to promote.
Yep.
And talking about our podcast, just quick reminders before we begin the episode. Subscribe to the Data Voyagers podcast wherever you get your podcasts. This is important because it helps our numbers, our statistics, and helps to get the podcast to more people. So if you use Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Overcast, whatever platform, go there, search for Data Voyagers podcast, and click subscribe or follow depending on the platform. And while there, why not give us 5 stars? Because that's also help us to reach more people. And follow our page on LinkedIn. So you can go to LinkedIn and search for Data Voyagers. You also have our personal profiles on on this post of this episode. There's the link so you can follow us as well. And we have our website with the blog, with online store. We have some pretty cool T-shirts and mouse pads, etc. So you can go to datavoyages.net and support us in any way you can, like share, like the episodes, comments, and all of that.
Yeah,
And
but even I
yes,
think even when somebody wants to have a chat with us online, like during this podcast, that's also a possibility. Just reach out, get in touch, and ask for a seat next to us in our podcast.
exactly. And now talking about support, we have great support. especially financial support from our sponsor, IPC Global. So let's hear quick words from IPC Global. This episode of the Data Voyagers podcast is brought to you by IPC Global. We've just released a brand new white paper, In Plain Sight: Why Analytics Efforts Fail. Too often, organizations assume that if they build dashboards, users will automatically come. The reality, up to 80% of analytics projects end up as expensive software that nobody adopts. Our white paper breaks down the most common mistakes, like mistaking access for adoption, over governing users, or designing without understanding real workflows, and shows how an adoption first strategy can turn analytics from decoration into true decision making power. If you want to understand why so many analytics initiatives underperform, and more importantly, how to make yours succeed, download Why Analytics Efforts Fail today at ipc-global.com. With IPC Global, adoption isn't an afterthought, it's the foundation of success.
Yeah. And I truly like this because it's not only IPC's sponsorship, it's the way we do things together, Igor. And we are both advisors. We have a true, deep love for data and AI literacy. So if you need help, just reach out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And now, Angelika, so in the sponsorship block, we talk about a white paper that's on the IPC Global website. Actually, I wrote that white paper. Was like months of research and talking to different people, and a lot of like research papers that I read and studied and all of that. But you also have a paper or on the same topic, right? And it's very interesting that I didn't know until you told me, and I read. I said, "Oh, interesting. We kind of came up with the same conclusions
yeah,
independently."
yeah.
So, you want to talk about more about this white paper that you wrote?
Yeah, I wrote it together with Click technological partner Insight Software, and it's about data and AI literacy and how to make data every employee's friend. I think it's a rather interesting topic that we discuss. Did also a lot of research. It was months of work because I had to do it besides the project that I'm running at the union. Uh, but yeah, it's also the interesting figures that let me check quickly what the numbers are so I can tell the truth. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, I lost it. Where is it? Ah, well, okay. It's also about 80% of projects that fail due to the lack of adoption, but also the lack of knowledge, right? It's even, MIT did also a research and they found out that 95% in their research, 95 of AI projects fail, and only 11% of the employees feel confident enough to work with AI solutions like Copilot, like ChatGPT, like Perplexity, or others. So therefore, I think, and that's also what is written down in the newspaper. Or in the white paper. It's not only about the tools that we can use, build amazing things, using and rolling out Copilot, but people need the skills and the ability to work with those tools, and that is what it's all about. So yeah, I think it's an interesting white paper. You can add it to the to our channel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll have that link on our blog. So
Hmm.
we working to get that in the once we release this episode, but also in the post this episode, so people will find it. So let's
Yeah.
get started then. Talking about, there is a myth, Angelica, that people say if you build it, they will come. That's a myth, right? Doesn't mean if you build it, they will come, right?
No. I think it's a common fallacy in the analytics world to think that when you build something, it will come. That comes straight out of Hollywood, and I believe the field of dreams mindset you call it. If you build it, they will come. Well, organizations, they think that by launching that shiny new dashboard with all the pearls and things and the bracelets, that and you roll that out in that new tool, everybody will go there and use it. But this miss, yeah, well, it is really sabotaged by more initiatives than any technical glitch ever could. And I think the numbers are really staggering. Gartner reports say that 87% of data science and data projects never reach to production. And even when projects technically are delivered, somewhere between 60 to 80% of analytics investments end up underutilized, gathering digital dust. And that's an entire industry pouring billions into platforms that never see meaningful adoption. And a lesson here, I think, is, and it's profound, that technology alone doesn't create transformation. People do, the humans do, right?
That's a very important point. Yes, absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely.
yeah, and uh, by the way, my daughter, Siska, she just um, uh, had a tattoo, and it's mountains with the compass, and it's with the North Star, right? And adoption has to be the North Star from the beginning. The compass is the guidance towards adoption of data and AI projects. So a dashboard that nobody uses is no different than an artwork hanging on the wall, and you think, oh, it looks nice, that's great, but it doesn't change decisions, and it doesn't drive any action, and certainly it doesn't justify the investment. And in fact, what I believe from my training capabilities and my experience over the last 35 years with data is that we should not throw it over the mountain and say good luck with it, right, Igor?
Exactly, and organizations they misunderstand a lot of things when they consider adoption. And so the first mistake is when organizations or people confuse access with adoption. So too many teams they report the numbers of license they were provided, you how many users were created, or how many users log at least once, but those numbers do not tell the whole story. Just logins, number of logins, which I like to call vanity numbers. So real adoption is not about accessing, it's not about logging in, it's about engagement. So, for example, how often people use it, how deep is people's interaction, and most importantly, how that is shaping the decision making, how that is impacting the company, how is that impacting someone's daily, job, daily decision making. So that's the first thing. The second is when you build dashboard without truly understanding user needs. Um, and this is actually when I teach about. I mean, we're both educators, so when I teach about techniques around data visualization, I tell people, why did you put this chart here and this chart next to it? Oh, it's because I made this first, so I put it on the top left, and then the second one I made. No, no, no. You have to have like a conscious decision making process. Like,
Yeah,
oh, the most important chart needs to go up top left because that's the prime time. That's where your eyes will look first. So you need to do that with purpose, not
yeah,
randomly.
yeah,
So there's a lot of things that involve in that, and the relevance is everything in that case. So if the data on the screen is not tied directly to daily workflows of that user specifically, it will become basically a clutter instead of clarity. So that's why we call something called ethnographic research. Ethnographic research is a kind of research, science research, where you observe without interfering. Because there's a study where you actually
Yeah.
interfere. Let's say you break your population into two groups, that kind of stuff. No, this is ethnographic, is when you just observe. So
Yeah.
before doing the interviews or anything, just ride along, just
Look.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
just look, sit, and I. This is, you learn so
Something
much.
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you learn so much, right? So watch they doing their work. If you do it, I remember when I used to work a lot with manufacturing companies, so I used to visit the floor plant and see how people do the products. You learn so much from that. So see how they perform their work, and then do interviews. Um, Map how the work actually happens. This is very, very important. So analytics needs to support people in doing their jobs better, not create extra work. Actually, I do have a new article at Data Voyages, new when we recording this. It is about, it's not about adoption, it's about, is a concept called ambient analytics. But in other words, one of the things that I discuss in this article is like, you know what? One of the reasons people do not use your pretty fancy, amazing dashboard or tool or technology is because everybody is already doing a lot of work. We are already in the brink of exhaustion. We are working way more than people used to work 20 years ago. And then comes you with the greatest intentions in the planet, but it comes you with more work. Because for the user, if you come to the new dashboard, the new AI tool, the new whatever, it's just more work, but they're already doing so much, they cannot do more work, so they kind of ignore.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't help them do their work better, so then they can do more efficiently, they're not going to use it.
No, but
um,
the thing is here that organizations do not approach an installation of a new dashboard as a change. It's a change. So you have to guide it as a change.
yes, and there's the cultural, political, all of those learning aspects involved. Another thing is what we call over governance. That's another killer of adoption. So when organizations enforce rigid approval queues, when they lock down access or impose blanket restrictions, so they think they're protecting the data, which is important, of course, but in reality, they're pushing users right back to spreadsheets, which then is the governance nightmare, because then you have no control what people are doing now. They calculate the numbers, they might be calculating the numbers wrong and reporting numbers wrong and making decisions based on wrong numbers. It's a
Yep.
nightmare.
Yep.
So governance should be a safety net, not a cage. Governance would be a safety net, not a cage. So the most successful approaches use lightweight guardrails, row-level security, governed catalogs, audit trails. So these are some of the tools that build confidence without blocking exploration. You
Yeah.
don't want to block your users from exploring, and which is what I see a lot of times. Like when I'm using like some services, let's say I'm gonna say it, AWS. I'm using AWS services, and then every little step that I go, there's a new security needed, and then I need to open a ticket with support, and then they need to give me access, and then I go to the
Yeah.
next step, and there's another one, and I say, you know what, forget, I just do it on my machine, which is terrible,
Yeah.
but that's what users do, and
Yeah.
I need to think as you are a user at some point as well, how you like to be treated.
Yeah.
Um,
But also, I think a big problem here is you talk about over governance, right? Um, the role-based security needs to be addressed. That's a very important topic. But what I truly think it used to be a big problem is that when companies buy licenses, for example, from Click, they always say, "Oh, this cost a lot of money, so I will take 5 analyzers and 2 developer licenses, and then you have it in the cloud, right, running." Or you take a capacity pack or whatever for 1000 minutes. That's how it worked before the move to the capacity model. And
mhm,
actually, what I truly love about the new capacity model is that we have full security in place in the Click environment. We can definitely arrange that, but we can help the whole business The l- the dashboards can be for everybody, right? Depending
Yes.
on your rights, of course. And that's what I truly like about the click capacity model at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, um, and there's another mindset problem, is that when you assume, and that's the one that I hate the most, and
Yeah,
we seen that so often. It's like, yeah, my users won't get it. So treating your users as dumb, as stupid, as incapable of change, it's a big, big mistake. And I've seen this so often. Like solutions are watered down, to simplify to the lowest common denominator. Um, but people rise to the level of design and enablement we provide. So if we underestimate our employees, our users, and then we what we're doing is we're designing for ineptitude. And then we create exactly that. We create inept usage. So if you work better with thoughtful design, training that's important, support, everyone's capability can grow. And that drives me crazy when I
yeah,
hear people saying, "Oh, no, no." For example, we are migrating from ClickSense to ClickCloud. There's all this new great functionality. There's better ways to do it, but no, no, no. If we change anything, our users, they won't get it. They won't use it. And no, don't. Yeah, it has. And I've seen migrations from ClickView that the users wanted
the
the
exact
application in
same.
cloud, the same ugly look and feel,
Exactly.
not ugly, but outdated, that we had back like 30 years ago. Um, and I said, no, no, no. Treat your users as smart people, as capable
And
people. Of
and ask
course,
the right questions, right?
and ask
Ask the
the
right
right questions.
questions so
And
you can get the
and
right answers.
exactly, and show them. Of course, you need training, and there's a whole. We can do another episode about that. Especially both of us being educated, I think that will be an interesting one. Like how we can actually create a learning culture within the organization and all of that,
Yeah.
which is
I-
so hard, but it's so great when we accomplish that. So,
And that's
and
where my article is about, Igor. That's what my article
that
is
is that
about.
is great.
Continuous learning. We have to learn. And I think,
Exactly.
except for the fact that we need that thoughtful design, that thoughtful training, that thoughtful support, so that everybody can
Mhm.
grow. But also very important, we need that collaboration within teams, the
Mhm.
multidisciplinary teams, but also we need to speak the same language. And Click provides the ability to speak the same language with, for example, the business glossary.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, and finally, just one last point, is when an organization underinvest in training and feedback. So that's right to the point that we're discussing now. So too many teams treat training as a one-off webinar or go live, but
Yeah.
no, as you said, it's an ongoing effort.
Journey.
Adoption is not an event; it's a journey. Exactly. Adults learn through repetition, practice, coaching. So without that structure enablement, awareness, guided practice, mastery, the analytics muscles will weaken. So we need that. And you need things like, for example, find your champions within each department, within the organization. Those were the people who actually will increase adoption, have like office hours, have events. We even have in a customer, we did like science fair, which each team showed the dashboards to the rest of the organization, and we were watching the numbers and adoption
I'm
increase.
going to write that down. Science fair.
Oh yeah, we did that a few. We did events. We did pretty cool. And usually when we brought donuts, people came or pizza. Now adoption, it's the most important, as we discuss, metric of success. It is. There's no other way around it. And poor adoption has a pretty big cost, right, Angelica?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. I think that the section that you just handled is super super important because the biggest irritations come from not using the dashboards, right? But there also is the cost element. So poor adoption doesn't just only waste licenses; it actually sabotages the transformation of an organization. And when you look at the costs, self shelfware, we use it as well. The term in the Netherlands is the obvious cost, right? Licenses purchased, never used, all an a line item that finance leaders love to scrutinize. But the hidden costs of everything we do in the data analytics field, without that true adoption arranged, uh, the hidden cost runs very deeper and deeper and deeper because when people can't get what they need from official analytics, they turn to shadow IT, or worse, they turn to Excel spreadsheets. And those Excel sheets start circulating. Um, and from there, they build their own data silos within an organization. I have worked for the big governmental organization, and we had so many. It was a siloed, structured organization, but also siloed with various tools. I did an investigation there, and I found 12 tools different tools for business intelligence and for analytics. So that was super weird to conclude that. um, but then at the end, if you don't do anything about it, data silos will multiply and it will explode, right? And you can't reach that governance state anymore. It breaks down. And from there, leaders are making the decisions from conflicting numbers, and nobody trusts the official source anymore. And then it fails. And then we start building another data warehouse, number 4 or number 5. And another thing what costs as well a lot of money is decision fatigue, right? It's a consequence of not reading the dashboards well, not adopting it well, not using it well. uh, Action is the most difficult step for organizations. It's really the hardest step, and I have hardly seen organizations. There are some, but I most of it, they just look at the numbers and think, oh, I hope it's better tomorrow or the next month, instead of looking to the why. What happened here? What can we do about it? What was the course of this number? Um, and then we have those frozen dashboards, right? They look at it and that's it. And many are filled with 100 visualizations that tell the same story. And it becomes irrelevant for their role. So they stop paying attention, and when they stop paying attention, they will not use it. Period. And then at the end, they slow down, and decisions become less effective. And then we have the element of change fatigue. It is never nice to change, to have a change in an organization, and even as I said earlier, even the implementation of a dashboard is a change. So you have to approach it like a change. Uh, don't write big documents, but just address it as a change. Find the points, like for example Cotter does in his method. You can make it very small change documents, how you can help your users to grow. And but the thing is that we have to watch for is that we have so many changes occurring at this moment in many, many organizations around the world. And that causes the change fatigue. And after several rollouts or failed rollouts, people start believing in the promise of analytics. And each new project is greeted with the skepticism. Why should I waste time learning this? It will just be replaced within 6 months. And trust erodes then, and adoption falls even further behind, and the cycle repeats. And that's a weird thing, right? And this is how organizations bleed value, not in a catastrophic failure, but through hundreds of tiny daily disengagements, right? So, what can we do about it? I think, Igor.
Yeah, those are very, very good points that you point out. So, but there is There is a blueprint that was actually part of my white paper. Like, what is it? Is that like a blueprint? What worked in other company or organization? What people are researching about adoption? And
Yeah.
basically, there are a six-part steps that you can take. The first is what we call the road-based designing. So you need to consider every persona within the organization, and need every persona should be understood, because usually you focus one persona, like usually is the sponsor of the project, like a C-level executive or a manager or something like that. No, consider all personas: the executive, the analyst, the frontline staff, and the dashboard then should be customized to the specific questions they need answer. So that is one important point. The second is user enablement path. So that's about training and enablement. So adoption requires structure, onboarding, not just handling over a login. Yeah, here, here's your login. Be happy. No. So you need tier training. You need peer champions that I mentioned before. Ongoing enablement that actually grows as roles and responsibilities evolve. And we have different levels of users. We use it like the beginner. They basically they just look at the number they wanted. There's some users that will actually use that to make decisions. So there's different levels of user, and the idea is that they grow um, um, with the support of these program, but they grow, in their journey within the company.
Yeah.
The third point is governance without friction that we discussed before. So governance should empower, not restrict.
Exactly.
So the goal is trust, not policy. Treat your users, your employees, as adults, not as children. So a light touch governance model ensures access is intuitive and secure. And that does not mean it's unsecure. We can make the best of the two worlds. We just wanted to design for it and plan for it. The fourth point is continuous feedback and interaction, because word change, everything changes. So the dashboard should change as well. So dashboards, they can be a one and done. I finish, never touching this anymore. No. So we can use usage telemetry, in-app surveys, agile sprints to keep solutions relevant. So top users should guide future enhancements. So get your top users, plus some other random frequent users, interview them. How can we make this better? What you like the most? What you do not like? What are kind of questions you have on a daily basis that you have answered by these? What kind of questions you have not answered by these? You need to go elsewhere. Ideally, that option where the users go export to Excel and do the rest of the work there should not exist. So you should be able to provide everything. Fifth point, adoption metrics that actually matters. So again, success is not number of logins, number of license given. Is sessions depth, like the type of sessions, how many clicks, how many different charts, interactions that exist. Data reuse. Then we have the concept of data project that actually pretty helpful in that case. Collaboration. Do they trust the data? So the trust score and clicks pretty helpful in that. And most critically, most important thing, decision influence. Did the dashboard actually change the outcome of a business decision or help in a business decision? Or was just reporting something that happened in the past? And sixth, and one of the most important, is the stop doing. I love this. Um, Actually, the person who brought to my attention this concept of stop doing is it's my boss, Mark Mearsman, great guy. And Mark, he was talking about this, and um, it's not only what you need to do, but also what you need to stop doing.
Yeah.
So it is important. So there is a list of things that you need to stop doing in order to, for example, stop exporting to Excel. If a user are exporting to Excel, it's something it's missing because they need to do something different there. Stop emailing reports to like stakeholders. We're not against reporting, but the idea is they go there and they be self-sufficient. Uh, it stop as much things you want to do manually. It stop doing things like list matching by hand. Anything that is manual will be in that stop list. And it stop again. Stop treating your users as dumb people, as
Exactly.
children, as people incapable of learning, incapable of change. Stop doing that. Stop patronizing them. Start treating your users as smart adult uh, people that can change, that can learn, that can adopt, that can grow. Um, and stop assuming technology is the same as adoption. So having powerful platforms like Snowflake, like Click, or others does not guarantee usage. Success comes from people that are enable and applying those technology in the daily work. So those are like the six, let's say, blueprints of implementing an adoption policy
Yeah.
company wise.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think, and before that, of course, and overall, we have to start with the adoption first analysis, right? Because we have to craft that mindset to we need to find to flip the script, right? Actually, because we tend to also always dive deep into the technology, do great things, and we are super 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 happy. I don't know what is happening here, but my screen is jumping up and down. Hold on 1 second. It's very disturbing. um, so adoption first analysis isn't about the technology, it's about the outcomes that we have to do. Every dashboard, every metric, everything that we do should connect directly to a decision or an action. And as I always say, it needs to connect as well to the organizational vision and strategy, right? So every dashboard usage, they don't become champions or analytics because somebody told them to. They become champions because analytics makes their job easier, faster, and smarter, and that requires a mindset shift. So organizations, they must stop measuring success by the number of dashboards launched, as you said, and they have to start by measuring success by the degree of adoption achieved, as you told, right? How many clicks, how many times did they open it, how long did they use the dashboards, and, and then actively, from the technical point of view, go into interaction with your users to find if we should change something or we should build new things. People should stop clinging to the outdated processes, emailing static reports, exporting everything to Excel, manually updating CRMs, and instead build environments where analytics is the natural, trusted, and automatic way of working, because it's in their DNA. Data must be in their DNA. So collaboration, right? The true adoption is co-designed with users. It's iterative. It's about embedding analytics into workflows, aligning dashboards with the business priorities, with the strategy, with the KPIs of the organization, or OKRs, as some say, and clearly listen to the action that should be taken from the inside. It's about creating stop doing list, as you discussed, and holding teams accountable for clearing it. So bad habits do not undermine progress, right?
Yeah, users should be your coworkers. Like, I love when I get users that engage and I can work as a team.
Yeah. And
So that's what I recommend people engage your user early on, not in doing UAT early on.
mm,
Listen to them.
that's why a
Um,
stakeholder
yeah.
analysis is mega important at the
Yes.
start of a project. Who are the people do you need for the demand that they have, right? So that they actually understand that KPIs are the real thing, right? Or measurements are the real thing. And I believe your 6 step program truly will help with that as well. I use a different style in my
Hmm.
project. I look at data personas, first of all. And from data personas, I go to learning lines specifically for uh, sectors, right? Like or departments. I adjust them a little bit so I can make things custom. And from there, we just go in the learning lines and bring the bring the first groups and find your ambassador, the people that you know have that touch with data. And that is what is happening now at UWV. That was happening at UWV where I used to work, but also at the union where I work now. Right? It's about readiness from an organizational perspective. The
Absolutely.
will to change and the will to accept and embrace data-driven decision making. So I
Exactly.
think we
And what
threw
is the
everything together, right? We threw everything upside down, but that's okay. But it's a good discussion because this is what's lacking in organization, Igor.
exactly, yeah. And again, it's the key to adoption is like users. I engage them, help them. I love my users. What I usually say is my users are not dumb. My users are the smartest people on earth
I'm
because
dumb
that's how
because
I
I don't understand their work.
yeah,
I have to
exactly.
learn their work.
Yeah, so I treat them with respect and I treat them as smart people, and that helps me and them and the team, and yeah, and that's why customers for life is something we truly believe in IPC. They invite us back, and
Yeah, it's
because you
family.
treat them fairly and as intelligent people. This is so important. And by the way, usually most of the cases when I get that feedback that my users are, I never actually twice I heard that literally. They don't say my users are dumb, but they say, yeah, they don't do this. Usually comes from IT departments. Um,
They don't know
and
what they need. They don't know what they need. No,
yeah,
they don't know
so
what they need because we, as data specialists, have to help them to understand what they need. They have to
mhm.
look at their organizational goals. So
Yep, yeah, and of
we
course,
have to change our attitude. Instead of being arrogant and just build things, we have to ask questions
yeah,
to build the right things.
and yeah, do never forget the human element. That's the most important because
Exactly.
humans will be using that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything to add before we finish the episode?
Yeah, I think we have to talk about the path forward, right?
Oh,
We have to,
absolutely.
yeah, that's the last thing. So when we go on that path, that needs to be structured and purposeful, right? As we said already in this small discussion, organization should begin with an adoption plan, an adoption readiness assessment. It can be done. I don't. Some organizations are willing to take an assessment. Some organizations do not. That's the culture thing that you have to take into account, and that's how you can approach the organization. Um, Help them to have a deep dive into technology, culture, skills, and workflows, and from there needs to be a clear enablement blueprint. That's why I always say in my projects, if I do data projects, and that's also my advice to my students, to everybody, don't throw it over the mountain. Just spend 2 hours with your viewers, the business users that use that dashboard, and help them to understand which use cases or user stories they can answer with the data that you presented in an amazing dashboard. And that is super important, and with that, it can be something that is really successful. What I did at UWV, where I worked for 25 years, and we started out in 2008 with the new tool called ClickView, and everybody was upside down because we could build things faster, we could work faster, we had faster insights instead of waiting long times. But when we did a project, we asked some questions. We had an intake form, and one of the questions was, how many times do you want the data to be refreshed? But also, how many times will the users, the business user, use the dashboards for decision making? And then after 3 months of delivery of the project, I would look at the data, at performance, and then I found out sometimes that the dashboard wasn't used. And then I went back to the department where I got the assignment from, and I asked, "How can I help you to improve the usage of this dashboard?" And that's how we help them with workshops, persona mapping, learning lines, so that we actually that the data-driven decision making comes within their DNA. So yeah, it's uh, it's not a technical milestone, right, Igor? It's a culture one.
Exactly, exactly. That's most important. All right. So I think. Oh,
Yeah, we are at the end, right?
we
Oh,
are at
do
the
you have
end.
something more?
I have something just unrelated to this, unrelated to data at all. Actually, just on a personal note. Most people do not know this, but in a previous life, like many many years ago, I uh, many years ago, I used to write fiction. So I used to, because writing it's something I like. Now I write more like white papers, research papers, articles, and stuff, more like work related stuff. But I used to write a lot of fiction. So I had in my native language, Portuguese, I have a few books published. Some of them were actually sold well, and there's some novels, there's some collection of short stories, and then I recently got the first, not the first book, but one of these books published in English. So it took around 10 years to translate it. If you're watching the video, I'm showing the cover right now. So now I have on
Amazing.
Amazon, you can find, if you search for my name, Igor Alcantara, you'll find there. But the name of the book is Hendekagen. Hendekagen. It's a Hendekagen is a polygon of 11 sides. So Hendekagen is a book with 11 short stories. And all the short stories is one side of the same topic: loneliness, solitude. With uh, the current generation, it's like the probably the loneliness generation ever, and we as connected as ever. So that's an interesting paradox.
Yeah,
So there's
we
a
talked about that, right?
yeah.
The because we one thing what came from COVID is that that we could work from distance, right?
Mhm.
Virtually. Uh, and what you see happening now is uh, that people more and more work at home, and sometimes people just don't go to the office for 6 months, for example.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
and I'm a people's person like you.
yeah, and this book basically is a different 11 different types of loneliness. So there are 11 different short stories, but they're all independent. So you can read one story, you can read in any order, but they're also all connected. So
Interesting.
I was inspired by a song from the Beatles, Eleanor Rigby, where basically it's a song that tells a story about two lonely people. And at the end, Father Mackenzie and Eleanor Rigby, and at the end of the song, they meet each other. But as lonely people, they meet each other. When she died,
Yeah,
he's the priest who handles like all the ceremony of the funeral.
yeah, I know the song. I play it.
Yeah, so
All the lonely
it was
people, where
inspired by
do they
the
all?
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's inspired by that. So basically, the way that I kind of it's kind of a comeback story for all of these 11 lonely people is by connecting those stories. So main character in one story might be another character in another story, which is interesting because sometimes by reading multiple stories, then you understand better another story because they all connect and explain. There's a different,
yeah,
and also I want to explore different genres of writing. So there's like more fantasy writing. There's more like depressing writing. There's more like crime stories. So I was trying to explore different styles as well. So I'm pretty happy with the result. It's a pretty deep um, book, and I talk about very like strong topics, loneliness, suicide, and all this kind of things. But I'm very really proud of. So Hende Kagan, people want to read some
Yeah.
fiction
You
and
should
want
put
to,
it. You
yeah,
should put the link in the podcast thing,
that's
and
a good idea. I'll do
be
that.
proud because it's amazing to
Yeah.
write a book, even with and it's short stories, so it should be readable.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty simple to read. And the book overall,
yeah,
it's not long.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. And you're a
All
good
right.
writer, Igor. You're a good writer.
I try my best. I study a lot. So, yeah, I try my
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
We reaching the end of this episode. When we talk about analytics investment, they don't
Mhm.
fail because of platforms. They fail because adoption is treated as an afterthought. But adoption is a true success factor. It's the difference between dashboards that decorate the screen and dashboards that drive decisions. Is basically adoption.
Yeah. Can I
So,
add one thing to this, Igor? I
absolutely.
truly believe to close down, and this is what I always say in all my presentations. I had a keynote last
Mhm.
week with plus 200 plus people in my in the room. I was the closing keynote, and the most I talked about collaboration, speaking the same language, change, address it as a change, but to be actually successful with data and analytics and bringing the dashboards alive is show and tell. Show and tell. Let your business user demonstrate the dashboards to others. Create circles where you discuss about those things. Show and tell is a critical success factor in adoption, from my point of view.
Exactly. So if your organization is launching analytics, don't ask what tool should we use. Ask instead how will we ensure adoption? How this is changing the business? Because
Yes.
without adoption, analytics is just a wallpaper. And that's our journey for today, dear data explorers. Uh, Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep navigating these stories behind the numbers. Thank you, Angelika. Thanks for all our listeners.
Thank you,
Um,
Igor.
See
Yeah.
you next time. Ciao,
See you next
pessoal.
time. Bye bye. Doei doei.